Welcome back to the Conveyance Desk. In episode 13, we covered mortgage cases on the buyer side, where the buyer is financing. Today is episode 14, and this one is about power of attorney for property transfers. When you need one, what makes a POA compliant? What makes a POA rejected at the trustee desk? And the legalization chain for instruments executed outside the UAE. Quick reminder, this is general educational content, not legal advice. POA requirements vary by transaction type. Drafting against the wrong template produces rejection, so use this as a guide. Then validate your own instrument against current DLD requirements. Here is the framing. A power of attorney lets one person authorize another to act on their behalf in a specific matter. For property transfers, the POA authorizes a representative to sign Form F, attend the trustee office, and execute the transfer. POAs are routinely used. Buyers and sellers overseas, buyers and sellers unable to attend trustee day, family members or appointed agents acting for principals. Used correctly, a POA is invisible. Used badly, a POA is the most common reason transfers fail at the trustee desk. 1. When you need a POA. You need a POA when the principal cannot personally attend the trustee office on transfer day. The principal is the buyer or seller. The attorney is the person authorized to act for them. Common scenarios. The principal lives outside the UAE. The principal is in the UAE, but unable to attend on the date. The principal is using a family member or appointed agent for the transaction. The principal is a corporate entity, acting through an authorized signatory. You do not need a POA if the principal personally attends and signs. You do need a POA if anyone other than the principal is signing on their behalf. 2. The compliant Dubai POA. A Dubai POA must be drafted in compliant Arabic-English bilingual format. The Arabic is the operative version under UAE law. The English is the working version for non-Arabic reading principles that you must align in substance. Discrepancies are resolved against the Arabic. The instruments must identify the principal by full name as on Amiraz's ID and passport, with both numbers. The attorney by the same identification. The matter by property reference, community building, unit number, title deed reference. The powers granted, specifically itemized. The validity period, if applicable. This level of specificity is mandatory. A POA that says authority over real estate matters without naming the property is rejected. A PO that says general representation without identifying the action is rejected. The receiving authority cannot match the instrument to its records without specific identification. 3. Notarization. A Dubai executed POA must be notarized by a Dubai notary public. Notarization is the formal attestation that the principal personally appeared, was identified, understood the instrument, and signed it freely. The notary verifies identity and signature. The notary does not draft the POA. The notary does not advise on its scope. A defective POA gets notarized without comment because the notary's role does not extend to substantive review. The defects surface later. At the trustee desk, where the receiving authority rejects the instrument, this is why drafting precedes notarization. A POA that has been drafted by someone unfamiliar with current DLD requirements gets notarized cleanly and then fails on the day. The cost of correcting it is days of delay and a fresh execution. 4. DLD Circular 29R 2025. For property POAs in particular, DLD Circular 29R 2025 imposes additional requirements. Instruments must be verifiable through official electronic platforms. QR code verification alone is not sufficient. This is a recent compliance requirement. POAs drafted before the circular took effect, or drafted by parties unfamiliar with it, are rejected. The drafting must accommodate the verification mechanism from the start. A retrofitted POA does not work. It requires fresh execution. 5. Foreign executed POAs. When the principal cannot attend a Dubai notary office, the POA must be executed and attested in the principal's location, then legalized for use in the UAE. The UAE is not a member of the Hague Apostille Convention. This is critical. An apostille issued by a convention member country on its own is not valid in the UAE. Documents from any country must undergo full consular legalization to be accepted in the UAE. The chain. The POA is drafted in compliant format, notarized by a notary in the originating jurisdiction, attested by the originating jurisdiction's foreign ministry, legalized by the UAE embassy or consulate in the originating jurisdiction. Once received in the UAE, attested by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, MOFAIC. Translated into Arabic by a UAE sworn translator. Each link must be intact. Missing the originating country foreign ministry attestation is the most common defect. The UAE embassy will only legalize documents that have been pre-attested at the originating end. Without that step, the chain is broken. The document fails at the trustee desk. 6. Timeline for foreign POAs. The full legalization chain takes 2 to 6 weeks, depending on the originating jurisdiction's processing speeds, and a consigliere load at the UAE embassy in that jurisdiction. This timeline must be built into the transaction plan. A buyer or seller overseas who decides to use a POA 2 weeks before transfer day is a buyer or seller whose transfer is going to slip. Plan ahead. Initiate the POA execution at least 8 weeks before the projected transfer date. This gives margin for the chain, plus margin for any defects identified during attestation. 7. Common rejection reasons. Recurring rejection causes at the trustee desk. Generic powers without naming the specific property and action. Misidentified subject. Property identified by an old address rather than the current title deed reference. Identity documents replaced or expired since execution. Defective attestation chain on foreign executed POAs. Apostille presented instead of full consigliere legalization. POAs missing the DLD, Circular 29R, 2025 verification requirements. Validity period expired. POA revoked between issue and presentation. Each of these is preventable with pre-flight review. A POA reviewed against trustee requirements 1 week before transfer catches issues while there is still time to correct them. A POA reviewed at the trustee desk on the day produces a failed appointment. 8. The cancellation question. A notarized POA can be cancelled by the principal at any time. The cancellation is itself a notarized act. The principal attends a notary public office, executes a cancellation instrument identifying the original POA. The cancellation is registered. If the cancelled POA has been used to register a position with DLD, the cancellation does not unwind the registered act. It only stops the POA from being used for further acts. The previous registration stands. 9. Why specificity matters. The pattern across every POA failure is the same. The drafting was generic. The drafting did not match the receiving authority's requirements. The drafting was retrofitted from a template that predated current rules. POA is drafted in template form by parties who do not specialize in property transfers regularly fail. Not because the parties are careless, because property payer requirements have evolved and the templates have not kept pace. OAQ are drafted specifically for the property in question, against current DLD requirements. By someone who handles property transfers as their primary work is a POA that does not fail at the trustee desk. In the next episode, we will cover off-plan resale, assigning OAQ registered units before handover, developer NAC, assignment fees, and what's different from a standard transfer. That's all for today. This was the Conveyance Desk.